Hello kids, and welcome to the Weekly Bridge. This week's theme is God uses unusual leaders. The story, as always, is taken from the Bible. This week from Judges chapter 4, and in Judges chapter 4 we read the story of Deborah. Deborah was a leader of God's people, the Israelites. She was known as a judge. And as a judge, she said to a man by the name of Barak that he was supposed to go to war against a man named Sisera. Sisera was not a very nice person, and God was going to give victory for Barak over Sisera. And Deborah said, "You need to go." Well, in the story, Barak is afraid of Sisera, and so he says to Deborah, "I'm not going to go unless you go with me." Well, in the story, Deborah says, "Because you've said this, you will not get the victory, but a woman will get the victory." When you read the story, you assume it's going to be Deborah. But we find at the end of the chapter, there's another woman by the name of Jael. And it's Jael who, by her hand, was able to create this victory. She was a very unusual choice to bring this victory. She was really unknown. It reminds us that God wants to be able to use us as well. No matter how unusual we are, no matter how we're not known or maybe small we are, God can use us to make a difference as well. So this week, just remember, God can use people like you and me, no matter how unusual we are, to do His will. Hey kids, how many lights can you find around your house? I know if you go around, you can probably find the switches on the side of the wall, and you can turn those lights on and off. If you open up the refrigerator door, you would find the light turning on and then turning off when you shut the door. You might even have a night light in your bathroom or in your bedroom. But how about some unusual lights that you might not normally think of? I brought 3 of them just from my office here at the church. The first one is a lighter. That may not initially come to mind, but if you pull it, there's a little bit of a light there. I actually use this to light a second light you wouldn't have maybe thought of, and that is a candle. And then last but not least, probably the most unusual light that I have in my office is actually on my phone. I have an app that allows me to turn my phone into a light. These are a little bit unusual lights, and along with the theme for today, which is God uses unusual leaders, God can use unusual people like you and me. We may not look like everybody else, we may not live where everybody else does, but no matter who we are, we can shine for Jesus. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." So no matter who you are, Jesus wants you to shine as a light for Him. We're going to sing a song about shining for Jesus, and that is "This Little Light of Mine." And to shine for Jesus, that simply means we should live in such a way that people can see Jesus when we're present. When you turn a light on, it takes away the darkness so you can see things. And we want to shine for Jesus so that when we're around, people can see Jesus through us. If you will, take a moment to sing the song.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Satan blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine till Jesus comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine till Jesus comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine till Jesus comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine!
God's story, Deborah. So part of God's story is about a woman named Deborah. And it goes like this. God's special family was in some trouble. You see, Israel had started to turn away from God and stop following him. But because God loved his family, he wanted to send them a reminder that he was in charge and that it was really important to follow him. And so, God allowed Jabin, the king of Canaan, to take over Israel. Now, Jabin had left Sisera, the commander of his armies, in control of Israel. And Sisera? Well, he wasn't exactly the nicest guy. In fact, the Bible tells us that he had over 900 iron chariots, which meant he was really powerful, and he loved to bully the Israelites. The Israelites tried to resist, but they couldn't do it on their own. After 20 long years of trying to rescue themselves, Israel cried out to God and asked him to rescue them. Kids, it's always a good idea to ask for God's help. Even though God was king of his family, he chose people to lead them. They were called judges. One judge was named Deborah. She was also a prophet. Remember, a prophet is someone who hears from God and shares it. Deborah was a strong, powerful woman who listened to God, helped settle arguments among the Israelites, and worked to lead her nation back to their rescuer. Pretty cool, huh? And she had a message from God. He had heard the cries of the Israelites. So Deborah sent for a man named Barak and told him that if he took 10,000 men up to a place called Mount Tabor, she would bring Commander Sisera to him. Then they could stop Sisera from bullying Israel. But Barak wasn't so sure. In fact, he was pretty worried. He said that he would only go if Deborah would come with him. Deborah told Barak not to worry because God was going to deliver Commander Sisera not through him, but through the hands of a woman. Barak obeyed and gathered his men at Mount Tabor. But when Sisera heard about this new army, he rushed out to battle them with all 900 chariots rumbling along the ground. Now, Deborah could have been scared, but she knew God was with her. She said, "Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak and his men charged Sisera and his army. The soldiers went forward, and with God's help, defeated Sisera's chariots. Every one of his soldiers were killed, so Sisera went running for his life. He ran to a tent owned by a woman named Jael and asked her to hide him. She agreed and covered him with a blanket. He was pretty tired from all that running, so inside the tent, he fell asleep. When Barak arrived at the camp, Jael led him to Sisera's body. Just like Deborah had prophesied, Sisera had been delivered to Barak through the hands of a woman. With Sisera gone, God led his special family in battle after battle, until Jabin, king of all of Canaan, had to surrender before the little nation of Israel. After that, Deborah and Barak burst into song, praised God, and celebrated how God had saved his family. And then there was peace for 40 years. And that's the story of Deborah. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Israel was in trouble. They cried out to God. Deborah told Barak God had a plan. Barak led 10,000 soldiers into battle. God helped the Israelites beat Sisera's chariots. Sisera fled to Jael's tent. Jael killed Sisera. The Israelites defeated Canaan. Deborah and Barak praised God in song. There was peace for 40 years. And that's a part of God's story.
going to be out of our tin cans. So inside your box, you just pull out your 2 cans. There should be 2 pipe cleaners, different colors, a piece of rope. You may want your paints and paintbrush. And should be a little bag of beads inside your box also. Besides that, you might, if you don't want to paint your cans, you may like to get some construction paper. As I did, and I just cut up pieces and glued it on. Another tip is when we use our rope here is to take a piece of Scotch tape, you might have Mom and Dad do this, and put it on the end of your rope to make it easier to go through our tin cans. The one tin can that has holes in it, that's going to be for our arms to go through. So that one, you can just make any kind of design on it you would like, whether with the paint or gluing some construction paper. And you could just, construction paper, you could even just cut pieces, put glue on the back. The one with no holes, except for the hole on top, and the hole should be on the top. You'll want to make a face, and you can do that with your paints, or another easy way, Mom and Dad, someone will help you. Take a Sharpie, because a regular marker will just wipe off. And you can make a couple eyes, a nose, and a mouth, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and let you paint up your cans, or put your paper on them, whatever, glue the paper on, whatever you like. And we'll pause, and you may take, if you do the paint, it will probably take a couple hours for it to dry. So you'll want to make sure it's good and dry before you come back and finish the project. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, now that your paint's all dry, and I don't have this one painted up, but we're going to take our rope, put it through the top can, and leave maybe, and leave a tail on it, because this is how we'll hang it. And I found too, if I put a knot right at the top, it won't pull through the can on. Now we'll also I'm sorry. You're going to take the top of your head, put your rope down through, and pull it out a little ways, leave the rope hang, and maybe something like that. Make a knot down at the bottom of his head. You may have to have one of your parents help you a little bit with this. Yeah, so I just lost my... And if it comes all the way through, put some more tape on it, which probably should have done at the beginning. This project's a little trickier than last week's. So if it goes all the way through, just have somebody help you. All right, there you go. Next hand, get your body, make sure his arms are at the top. And you're going to make a, go through the can, and pull the can fairly tight together. Hold them like that, make a knot right at the end of that, at the end of the can. Tie it. And now when we hold him up, he should hang like that. You might want to tie a knot up here just to keep it from sliding up and down. Good thing to do. Then later you can make your little knot at the top also to do that. Next, you're going to get your pipe cleaner. Doesn't matter which color you decide to use. Then put it through the one hole. You may have to look inside to get it through the second hole. So he has arms, he or she. You may have to have a parent help you with this part too. It's easy getting it through the first hole. And there's his arms. Now we need some legs. Bend your pipe cleaner in half. And with this rope that's left, again, pull it tight and come down about 3 or 4 inches, and you're going to make another knot. So you have a knot inside here, and then you're going to have another knot. And this one, to make it loose enough, you can just put the pipe cleaner right through it. And then take some scissors, which I didn't bring along, and just cut that extra off. Now when we hang him up, pretend like that's cut, you're going to have him legs and arms. Next, go ahead and take your beads, which I think is the easiest to do when you're all done, and then just put how many ever you want on his arms. And then you can even fold up his hand a little bit so they don't fall back off. And you would do the same with his legs. Put a few on, and bend up his feet. I won't do both of them, but then you have your little person. And you could hang him outside, or inside, or on a porch, or whatever, and then you can explain to people what he's all about from our story today. And that's our unusual person.